What's up guys, NepentheZ here, and welcome back to another episode of The Road to Glory. As promised, or as mentioned anyway in yesterday's video, today is going to be a video based around bronze pack method, but a little bit more detailed than just being based around bronze pack method. We're going to be opening some bronze packs, showing you guys how best to utilize your bronze packs and your bronze players. I know you guys have seen videos on bronze pack methods before, but I've basically been experiencing a new way of making good profit, and I want to share that with you guys because it will either do one of two things. It will continue to make us good profit, or it will stop the silly nonsense of people overpaying by incredible sums of coins for these players, which will have a negative long-term impact for me personally, but still I think is for the betterment of the game and for the community. With that being said, the market is in meltdown right now, man. Like, player prices just keep going up and up and up. I just saw Zaro tweet, I don't think we're going to be getting any kind of Icon SBC anytime soon. He tweeted, Icon SBCs, there is a lot to be discussed around these types of situations. The FUT market is a living organism and cannot be held hostage by requests solely. That could open precedents for manipulation attempts, for example. The team is aware of all and analyzes it constantly. I heard through the rumor mill, and I've seen, Run the Foot Market Nick talk about this, and I saw some stuff on Reddit about this, that there are Spanish accounts. I don't know if they're specifically Spanish, but basically there are FIFA accounts getting created that are generating 2 million coins a day, and they are generating 200 accounts a day. And this is why the market is just going up and up and up. And what's happening is they are beating EA's systems, whatever red flag systems they have, to the point where these accounts aren't getting flagged. So these coins are kind of not, they're being, shown on FUT as legitimate coins. So because these accounts aren't going on the leaderboards, with hundreds of millions of illegitimate coins or whatever, these accounts are being sold, the coins are being used, and this is why, or this is at least in part as to why, we're seeing the market in general just trend upwards. Now, two things will happen with this. First and foremost, the market will continue to trend upwards, even in the face of SBCs and big promos. Like, everybody expected the Black Friday crash. The market didn't crash in the slightest. I mean, not in the slightest. If you I was looking at Courtois, and his price, I don't know why I was using him as a player that I was tracking the price of, but I was tracking the price of Courtois, his 90 rated card, and during Black Friday, he didn't even dip. He has been as low as 87,000 in the last month, and as high as 100,000 in the last month, and he's consistently fluctuated before then. I expected, honestly, on Black Friday for him to drop down into the 50s and 60s. It just didn't happen. And then right now, at the time of making this video, and you guys can use this as reference for when you're watching the video tomorrow, his price is 105,000 coins on PlayStation. So he is just going up. He hasn't been this expensive since the middle of October. So we're talking like nearly 2 months ago since he was this expensive. So the first thing of the two things that's going to continue to happen is that the market, specifically the meta players, the icons, the high rateds, they are just going to continually trend upwards and trend upwards and trend upwards. And it's going to make player prices and SBCs and stuff like crazy expensive. The other thing that's going to happen is once EA remedy this situation, the bubble will pop and player prices will crash so hard as people panic sell. So for example, once EA fix this coin inflation issue, everyone will start selling their expensive players to try and get coins so that they can have coins, because coins are obviously more important than players in terms of buying and selling power. And when you've got 100,000 people even selling their Courtois, it's going to crash his price. So there is a market crash coming. I can't predict when it will be. It will be largely based on things behind the scenes that you and I can't ever possibly sell or see or tell. But the fact that Zaro has, he talked about Icon SBCs a couple of times. He had a tweet yesterday or the day before about Icon SBC, saying that he's taken it to the relevant team, giving them the information from the community. But the fact that he's tweeted today about this, it's worrying. It's worrying that basically EA are not going to be giving us an Icon SBC due to whatever coin inflation or coin manipulation glitches going on, because it's just going to cause greater problems for the community and for the market in general. So that being said, I guess don't even expect Icon SBCs anytime soon, in my personal opinion. Outside of that, before we get into some of the bronze packs method stuff, or sorry, as we'll open some bronze packs actually, Paul Cook, from the message that I kept from yesterday, he said, regarding getting triggered into self-defeating anger and frustration, it was the last few games of your batch of 10 in this set. Obviously talking about yesterday, 2 days ago's set now, so game 19 and game 20. He said your next batch of 10, not uploaded yet, mini spoiler alert, which of course has now been uploaded. This was yesterday's set. He says you have a monster comeback with impeccable composure and immense focus and concentration. I woke the house shouting get in on the final goal. Then a couple more games where you got riled by the game again and negativity. The contrast between the two U's was stark. He then continues to say, is it always / usually the last few where you get tetchy? Maybe consider playing batches of 5 instead. Subconsciously you'll be losing concentration and energy long before you consciously notice it. Maybe it's a duration thing. And in terms of the last part of that comment, I don't actually play games in batches of 10. I just upload them to YouTube in batches of 10. Sometimes I play 1 or 2 here or there. Sometimes I play 14 or 15 all at once. Like, it really just depends how I've got on during the weekend. But I think one thing that I think is important to talk about here is what you've said here in terms of the contrast between the two U's was stark. I've mentioned this before last year, and it's hard to kind of get my point across for people to truly notice without giving a super detailed breakdown. But I go from, in my personal opinion, a top 100 level player when I'm playing at my best to a silver 2 level player when I'm playing bad. And as you say, the contrast there is so dramatic, it's so grand, that it's my duty to figure out how on earth to stop that downfall. And I've tried a fair few things. You know, a lot of people think it's to do with the number of games, like you say. You know, potentially for you it's how long I play on each individual time. But sometimes it's not even about how long I play. Sometimes it could be the first game of the day that gets me frustrated. And I've done good jobs this year in just kind of removing that from my mindset and just being a better player, just making sure I play my best. But there are some games where I feel like the game is against me. And you guys, full well know that I do not believe in scripting, handicap, or momentum. I don't believe that EA manipulate the results, and I don't believe that delay is as big as an issue as a lot of people make it out to be. Now, I know that's going to rile some people up. We've talked about this in detail before, but I think a lot of people use delay as a crutch to lean on when they're having bad times because they're not good enough. Now, that's not to say that I don't think delay is in the game, because I definitely do think there are issues with servers and issues with delay. You can feel it sometimes. You can just feel it. Like, you play on a Saturday in the afternoon, the servers are just overloaded with people, they're overburdened, and you can feel the heaviness in the game. Now, the reason why I struggle to think that delay is as big an issue as some people make it out to be is because everybody has to deal with it if it's an issue. You know, everybody has the same game. Now, you can't, like some people say, oh, someone has delay and another person doesn't. You don't know whether that person has delay or not. You know, you can't take a win and say, oh, I won that because I deserve to win that, when your opponent might have had delay. And you can't take a loss and immediately say, I only lost that because of delay, because even then your opponent might have had delay. And the issue is, and the issue has always been for me, not with you guys that experience delay or blame delay or get delay or bad servers or anything. The issue is always with EA. And the fact that EA just don't give us enough information about what ping we have when we go into a game, what kind of packet loss and like the packet jitters has with the server. We don't know even what server we're connected to. You could be connected to the server in California instead of the server into Germany, and if you don't know that, you are going to have a horrific game. And what people will do is, and I got told this from an EA guy last year, if you let's say you're in the EU, let's say you're in London, and for whatever reason you connect to the Californian server. Now, you are going to be experiencing very bad gameplay because of the fact you're on a server so far away. If you knew you was on that server, there is a remedy for this. If you just turn off your console at the wall for 30 seconds, turn it back on and log back into FIFA, it will reinitiate the login to a server, and it's very likely that you will get placed on the correct server. So then you will have one game where it's an issue, right? And if you have one game where it's an issue, you can half excuse that. You would still think, okay, EA need to do something and to better this, but at least you would know it. If when you log on, it says in the bottom left or something like that, current server, California-NA. You could be like, holy crap, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Let me try and get onto the EU server. That would be a big problem solved. But again, my problem is always with the fact that EA do not give us nearly enough information for so many things in this game, and it causes a problem where sometimes people will think they're playing in delay when they're not playing in delay, because the gameplay has got so many errors with it that it gives the understanding that they are playing in delay, if that makes sense. And so I always try and look at things from a more objective point of view and think, okay, so what would happen? Like, let's take delay out of consideration and hope and assume that what we're playing in is good gameplay. However, there was an instance where somebody explained to me, specifically with passing, and in 3 of my 5 losses this weekend, this is where I'm going to come back to you guys and say, perhaps this was delay, but also, again, this is where we don't know. Somebody explained to me in terms of passing, a wide delay, even, 1/10 of a second, can be absolutely game-breaking. And this, again, would be a good indication as to why even 4 bar to 5 bar can be such a dramatic negative impact on your gameplay. And the reason being is that when you press pass, let's say I'm passing up the field and I'm holding my analog stick, at 2 o'clock, and I press pass. When I pass that to my ball carrier, let's say I'm passing up to Gareth Bale, and I want to receive the ball with Bale, and I want to point my analog stick to 9 o'clock so that I can start turning straight in. If I even have 1/10 delay, because of how this game interacts and because of how quick you have to be with switching your controllers and pressing buttons, when I'm doing this and I press pass and then I do this to move inside, if I even have 1/10 a second delay, the pass wouldn't have registered before I've moved my left analog stick. And so what that's going to cause is my assisted pass kind of that dotted line, the assisted pass connector, let's call it, it's going to cause it to shift dramatically before the pass has actually been registered, even though it's only 1/10 of a second. Now, it might not shift all the way through to 9 o'clock where I'm aiming, because the 1/10 of a second might take it to 12 o'clock. So if I've pressed at 2 and pressed pass, and as I start rolling it around, or if I move directly, it might go to 9 o'clock. Or if I'm in the dead center before I've moved from 2 to 9, it might be that it's just registered it as a non-pass. So if you just didn't touch anything and press pass, where would the computer pass it? Who knows? It would be a crapshoot. That would then literally be down to assisted passing and where the game decides that it wants to pass it for you. So in the instances of a lot of people experiencing bad passing issues, a lot of that will be down to the fact that even if you have 1/10 a second delay, not the 2 seconds or 3 seconds that a lot of people claim to have, because I think that's extortionate. You can visually see 2 seconds or 1 second of pass delay. And that's why I always ask people, if you've got genuinely 1 to 2 seconds delay, record that, because you can prove that, and then you can take that to EA. But if you're just saying, I had like 1 to 2 second delay in every game this weekend league, that's when I just find it hard to believe you, because people just, if I had 1 to 2 second delay, like actually in every game, I wouldn't play this game. I just wouldn't play it. I'd be like, look, I can't even play this. It's just unacceptable. It's unplayable. But if you're having like a fraction of a second delay, and you're in a game where you're on the wrong servers or whatever, the way it moves passing, as I say, so because we're all on assisted passing, if you're trying to play the ball to your guy at 2 o'clock and then immediately turn inside and run with him at 9 o'clock, what will happen is it might instead pass up towards 12 or 11 or 10 or 9. And so the pass that you think you made and that your mind's eye saw is not the pass that you've actually told the game, because of such a small amount of delay, and it screws everything. Because now, obviously your passing will still be generally quite accurate, because of the way assisted passing is, even if you pass a wildly different direction, sometimes it will still think that the initial pass that you were trying to make is the most appropriate pass, and so the assisted passing will still try and pass to that player. But there are many occasions where you'll be like, look, I tried to pass it to my right back in loads of space. The game's aimed it up towards the right wing, who's marked by 2 players. I didn't ask for that. This has caused me a problem. And the reason why I get frustrated at this game is because those are the games for me that I end up losing. And as you guys well know, and as I've said already in this video, I don't blame delay for my losses, because even in the struggles of game problems, I still think that you can play your way through it. And I think that because there are people that go 30-0. There are people that get 29 wins consistently every weekend, that get 28 wins consistently every weekend. And if those people can be consistent, and that's people from NA, people from EU, people from the rest of the world, people from the Australian region, they get 29 and 30 wins, which means if you're smart enough with your choices, you can play through the issues, whether it be broken game mechanics, whether it be delay, whether it be bad servers or bad gameplay, you can play through it, right? So always try and look at what I could have done differently. However, in this sense, from what Paul Cook was saying, specifically game 19 and 20 that I lost, I felt like I was a considerably better player than the 2 opponents that I lost to. I know they scored a lot of goals, but it was one of those games where I was getting mad triggered because the plays that I was trying to make, the passes I was trying to initiate, wasn't going the direction that I was aiming them. And the reason why this frustrates me, and the reason why it triggers me so much, is because I just don't know why. Some people will just flat out say that was just delay. You had input delay, and it screwed up your game. If you didn't have delay, you would have won those 2 games. And if that's the truth, that's 3 losses I took this week to delay, right? I don't know how many wins I got because of delay either, but that would have been 3 losses I took because of delay. And that would have been the difference between me going 25 and 5 and 28 and 2. And 28 and 2 is huge. I get FUT Champions registered, I can compete for money, and I get Elite 1 rewards. That is massive. However, if it was just me making bad choices, but thinking I was making good choices, or if it was the fact that assisted passing is not explicitly accurate to where you want to play passes, we don't have the luxury of knowing that. And I talked about this before, but we should have access to every single game that we played during the weekend league. We should get to see what our opponents' results were, what their win-loss rate was when we played them, and what they finished at when weekend league closed, whether they played all 30 or not. We shouldn't just be able to go to the Champions channel for that, right? And the Champions channel in itself is quite often not even working. Let's see if we've got any replays here today. So it does look like we've got some replays because it's taken so long to load them. So these right here, I should be able to see all of this, and I should be able to go into, like, there should be featured, top 100, and, you know, personal. So I should be able to go to the personal tab, and I should be able to rewatch all of my 30 games. Because only then can I go into that game, go to that pass where I thought I was aiming at my right back, but the game aimed it at the right wing, and I can see, okay, so if I aimed this at the right back, and the grey dotted line is to the right back, but the white dotted line is to the right wing, that means that assisted passing decided that that pass was better, and I can react off of that information and make a better choice in the future where I will aim deeper right, so deeper to the right back, almost to the corner flag, so that assisted passing will know that I'm not contemplating it being up there. However, if I aimed it to the right back and at the last second you can see the dotted line scoop up to the right wing, I know then that one of 2 things happened. Either I made a bad decision as to when I moved my thumbstick and it caused that, or there was a delay in passing in that game, or a delay in the game in general in that game, and as I've tried to move to my right wing to make the play, make the possession, and change the interaction with my controller to my player, it's caused the mismatch in passing. If I knew that, I would get less frustrated, and I could then turn around and say, hey EA, look, this is the pass that I'm clearly trying to make. You can see that I've tried to make this pass, but at the last split second, it's rolled up here. It didn't happen in this game or this game and this game, and I can give examples, and I can say the reason why this has happened is because of delay, because of input delay, because of bad servers, Or I could say, hey, EA, I've aimed the ball here. You can see quite clearly where I've aimed it. Yet assisted passing has decided to pass it here. This shouldn't be the situation. You know, assisted passing shouldn't have aimed it here. And so perhaps you could take this to your team that deals with this situation and explain to them that the obvious pass choice should be here, because there have actually been a few times where I've shown Tom, the guy that deals with gameplay that I talk to on a regular basis, there's been a few times where I've shown him some clips of where I aimed the ball, how I aimed the ball, how much power I put on the ball, etc. And he said, yep, that actually shouldn't happen. I'll put this to the right team and we'll have a look at it. Or where he says, well, you've made a bad choice there because you've taken a risky pass, you're under pressure, you've done it on his weak foot, off balance, you're back to the play. And then I can have some more reason and I can learn and improve off of that. But until we get that opportunity, all we get is some people saying delay this, delay that. Some people saying just get better at the game, it's your fault. And then someone like me who's in the middle saying, look, there could be delay. I don't think it's as bad as some people are making it out to be. But at the same time, I don't know, because we don't know. And I wish that they would improve on that. So yeah, I think for me, I get really, really, really frustrated when the game doesn't do what I think I'm telling it to do. And that's what causes me to lose games. And it always takes me to just walk away for several hours to completely reset and then come back and play on. And on Sunday night, I streamed all my games. I was 19-4 when I started streaming. I went from 16-4, I finished on Saturday. I went to 19-4, 3 games that I played during Sunday daytime to go to 19-4. And then on stream, I was playing exceptional FIFA, right? I was playing everyone I played off the field. I played against some great players on Sunday, and you saw those games yesterday. I was playing against some great players, and I handled them very, very well. I played against a guy with a strong icon team. He went 3-1 up. I made some tactical changes. It had positive impacts. And I was just, honestly, I was super, super happy with how I was playing. And I think to myself, if I play like that for all 30 games, I genuinely believe I can get 30 wins with the team that I have. I genuinely believe it, But I struggle to play like that for 30 games because there is that 1 or 2 games minimum every weekend that just sets me off, that makes me play bad into another game and then into another game, and it just completely throws my whole weekend out of whack. Like this weekend, I got to 15-1 and then 16-4. So I lost 3 games in the space of 4. 2 of them, I struggled to beat players that were considerably worse than me, and that's the struggle, that's the stress. Before we get out of here today, guys, of course, I do want to show you guys how I make considerable funds from Bronze Pack Method right now. I'm very intrigued to hear the responses of you guys in the chat and see what you think about what I've talked about here today. But basically, if you guys go to Footbin, go to the active challenges and find a challenge that has bronze players in it. So we're going to take, what are we going to take right now? We're going to take marquee matchups. In marquee matchups, there is the Spartak versus Lokomotiv SBC. It's 4,000 coins, but it requires bronze players. So when I go to this one, there's one called Monster. It has several players from the Irish leagues. It has 3 gold players from the Russian league, and then it has 3, 4, 5, 6 bronze players from the Irish league. So what I do is I like to go and check these players and see if I have them. Because if I have them, what will happen is a player that is absolutely irrelevant to sell will usually sell. So the striker's called O'Keefe. I don't have him. So there's an Irish striker that is basically called O'Keefe, a 50 rated Irish striker. Let's see what he's actually selling for. Let's go to... We'll go to the market and have a look. Sometimes they don't boost in price, but sometimes they go through the roof for price, right? So we've got 2 centre mids, Morahan and Phillips, and Byrne. So do I have Morahan, Phillips, or Byrne? They're 47... Yeah, there's Byrne, so I have him, and I have Phillips. So this guy... As you can see there, he's selling for 350 coins on bid. The lowest bin so far is 2,000 coins. So 2,000 coins is the lowest bin, which means if I'm not greedy and I list this up for 1,000, he will probably sell. What people fail to understand is that you don't have to use Phillips. You can use any single one of these Irish centre mids, or you don't even have to use the Irish league. You can go to the Austrian league and there's a whole bunch of bronzes there and use the Austrian players. This guy is also in there as well, so I assume that he's also selling for... Interestingly enough, he's not selling. Sometimes they sell, sometimes they don't. I don't understand why. There's also Noon in there as well, so this guy might be selling for a little bit of a heightened price. He's not. And then there's a left back called McGovern who is in there as well, and we'll have a look at him if I have him. I do have McGovern. Now the fullback for some reason usually sell for a whole bunch, so we'll have a look at him. So he's 150 on open bid, but he's actually at 250. So we could sell him for 200, and I will list him for 200 because this guy would normally never, ever, ever sell. Because look, if this guy was like 4K or something, it would blow my mind. And typically, sometimes it is, because this guy is exactly the same. Same club, same league, same nation. He would work the same, even though all of the Irish players would work. This McGovern normally doesn't sell. Let me go and pick one more team here and have a look, see if we can get another couple of players off of this. So silver first, Isaac Diaz. So this guy's got silver cards in there. Now that's stupid because you don't need silvers, but because people are stupid, they usually get them. So I need the Scotia Bank League. Where are we going here? I've already gone past it. This. So we've got a silver striker that's in here called Diaz. And because I don't have him, sadly, but because he is the name of the team, he's probably going for a fair bit. There's a couple of cams that are bronze, Parada and Villanueva. So I have Parada, so we'll see if this guy's going for a little bit more. So he's selling for 200 again, whereas normally he would never, ever sell. And a cam called Urzua. Do I have Urzua? I have Urzua as well. Oh, I have Villanueva as well, but he's untradeable. That's too bad. So this guy's not selling. I wish I could actually see what price this guy's going for, because I bet it's a lot. Then they've got a CDM in there called Moya. Now, obviously the problem is, and I have Moya there, the problem is that this SBC has already been out for some days. So as more time goes on, more people have completed it, there's less demand for the SBC solutions, and so there's less demand to sell the players. So we've got Riquelme here. So I have Riquelme as well. And now, of course, as there's less demand, people won't buy them. With that being said, let me go to the Russian league and see any silvers I've got. With that being said, in the first few days, I mean, I literally sold loads of bronzes from this method for so many coins. And because there are so many SBCs that EA release throughout the week, we get to a point. So I need Lapshov or Chernov. I don't have either of those. I wonder if these guys are selling anyway, just because they're from the Russian league and Russian. So I should be selling these guys anyway, because they're like 1,000 coins each. But bottom line is that's how I make a lot of coins from bronze pack method. Even if you don't sell like the league SBCs and stuff like that, I hope that's that Irish guy for 1,000 coins, because that will just completely prove my point that somebody bought him. They did buy him. So that Phillips got picked up for 1,000 coins, and you know for a fact that I didn't sell it to a viewer or anything like that, because it sold whilst I'm still recording this video. That Phillips sold for 1,000 coins when any single Irish midfielder for 200 coins or 150 on bid would have done the trick, or any single midfielder or player from any other league would have done the trick. You can already see I've got lots of bronzes and silvers on the market that are for inflated prices, like this guy for 2,400, this guy for 2,400, because these would have been in SBC solutions. But the problem, like one of the greatest and the worst things about the solutions is the players, they go up, they spike, and then they drop within like a 10-minute period. So if you've missed the chance, you have to wait until a new solution gets up to the top or until a new SBC is released. But that, guys, is how I make money off a bronze pack method. That is my opinion on input delay and such. This is going to be the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, rating, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But for now, guys, I'm out. Peace.